In a peaceful countryside of Pennsylvania, there's a small community where people still live much like they did hundreds of years ago. They don't use electricity, they don't drive cars, and they're never in a rush. These are the Amish. Amish families live simply, in harmony with nature, and they believe that everything needed for a healthy life can be found right in their backyard gardens. Many of us may have forgotten these old natural remedies, but for the Amish, these are treasured secrets passed down from generation to generation. Today, I'd like to share with you 15 herbal remedies that the Amish still use to this day. These treatments are simple, effective, and anyone can apply them in daily life. 1. Echinacea, the flower that boosts immunity. As winter approaches, Amish families begin harvesting purple echinacea flowers from their small backyard gardens. They carefully dig up the roots, wash them clean, then slice them thin and dry them. Whenever someone in the family feels a headache coming on, has a runny nose, or shows signs of a cold, they take a few slices of the dried root and boil them in water to make a warm echinacea tea. They believe echinacea helps strengthen the immune system, making the body more resilient against colds and flu during the cold months. The Amish rarely rely on modern medicine, and echinacea is often their first line of defense. 2. Chamomile, gentle sleep from nature. For the Amish, a day often begins at dawn and ends shortly after the sun dips behind the hills. After hours of hard work in the fields or the workshop, they turn to simple, natural ways to relax both body and mind. One of the most popular methods is drinking chamomile tea in the evening. Chamomile flowers are picked when they are in full bloom, then dried and stored carefully in clean glass jars. When it's time to make tea, they take a small handful of the flowers, drop them into boiling water, and let them steep for a few minutes. The tea turns a soft golden color and gives off a gentle, calming fragrance. The Amish believe chamomile soothes the nerves, eases stress, and helps bring about a natural, restful sleep, without the need for medication. Even children who have trouble settling down at night are given a little chamomile tea to help them relax and drift off. For them, chamomile tea isn't just a drink. It's a part of their peaceful, simple lifestyle. It's a way to restore energy and prepare for a new day. 3. Plantain, nature's Band-Aid. In everyday life, especially when working outdoors, it's hard to avoid small injuries like cuts, scrapes, or insect bites. Instead of using ointments or adhesive bandages, the Amish often turn to a wild plant that grows abundantly around their gardens, plantain. When someone gets hurt, they simply pick a fresh plantain leaf, crush it, or chew it gently to release its natural juices, then place it directly on the wound. The sap works quickly to stop bleeding, reduce pain and inflammation, and prevent infection thanks to its natural antibacterial properties. After applying the leaf, they wrap the wound with a clean cloth and leave it for a few hours. No need for modern medicine. Just a simple plantain leaf allows them to treat minor injuries effectively. That's why the Amish often think of plantain as their natural Band-Aid, always ready and growing right under their feet. 4. Comfrey, the bone-healing herb. The Amish often refer to comfrey as knit bone because they believe it can help knit bones and tissues back together. For generations, they've trusted this plant to support the healing of sprains, bruises, and even minor bone fractures. When someone suffers a sprain or swelling, or even a light fracture, fresh comfrey leaves are gathered, crushed into a thick paste, and applied directly to the injured area. They then wrap it with a clean cloth to hold it in place. Comfrey contains compounds that reduce inflammation, ease pain, and encourage tissue repair, helping the injury heal faster. This age-old remedy has been passed down through Amish families, especially useful during accidents that happen while working in the fields or the wood shop. 5. Peppermint, a soothing remedy for an upset stomach. During large meals, especially on Sundays or special occasions, Amish families often enjoy hearty dishes like roasted chicken, smoked meats, and homemade bread. Sometimes eating a little too much or too quickly leads to feelings of heaviness and indigestion. To ease this discomfort, they brew a cup of peppermint tea after meals. Peppermint leaves, harvested and dried during the summer, are carefully stored for year-round use. When needed, they simply add a small handful to boiling water and let it steep. The tea helps soothe the stomach, relieve bloating, reduce nausea, and aid digestion. In addition to its digestive benefits, peppermint tea can also help ease mild headaches and tension, making it a common choice in the evenings or whenever relaxation is needed after a long day. 6. Yarrow stops bleeding in minutes. In everyday Amish life, minor cuts, scrapes, and bumps are hard to avoid, especially when working outdoors in the garden or chopping firewood. For generations, the Amish have trusted yarrow as an effective natural remedy to stop bleeding quickly. When an injury causes bleeding, they simply pick a few fresh yarrow leaves and flowers from the garden, crush them to release the plant's natural juices, and place the mixture directly on the wound. Within minutes, the bleeding slows down or stops entirely, thanks to yarrow's natural ability to tighten blood vessels. Besides stopping bleeding, yarrow also helps clean the wound, fights bacteria, and prevents infection. The Amish often dry yarrow to store year-round. They grind it into a fine powder, which they sprinkle on small cuts as a natural, safe, and effective way to stop bleeding. No modern medicine required. 7. Lemon balm, a gentle lift on cloudy days. Amish life is simple, but it's not always easy. Physical labor and long days can take a toll, and there are times when spirits feel low or stress creeps in. On such days, the Amish often turn to a cup of lemon balm tea to restore balance and calm. Lemon balm is a fragrant herb with a light, refreshing flavor. The Amish brew tea from its fresh or dried leaves, enjoying its gentle, soothing effect on the mind. It helps ease worry, lighten moods, and bring a sense of peace. To the Amish, lemon balm is often thought of as medicine for the soul. It helps them stay calm, focused, and positive, no matter how hard the day has been. 8. Horehound, the Amish cough drop. Winters in Amish country can be harsh, and coughs often linger. Instead of buying cough syrup or lozenges, Amish families make their own horehound cough drops, an old-fashioned remedy known for calming sore throats and easing coughs. They slowly simmer horehound leaves in water to extract their beneficial compounds. Then they mix the liquid with pure honey and brown sugar, cooking it down until it thickens. The mixture is poured into molds and hardens into candy-like cough drops. These drops have a slightly bitter taste, but the Amish believe it's that bitterness that makes them work so well. Both children and adults suck on horehound candies to relieve dry, itchy throats. Some say just a few pieces can quiet a stubborn cough. Beyond soothing the throat, these drops help freshen breath and keep the mouth clean. 9. Valerian root, restful sleep for the weary. Long days of physical labor and family responsibilities can sometimes leave the Amish struggling to relax or sleep deeply at night. When rest doesn't come easily, they often turn to valerian root, a time-tested natural sleep aid. Valerian roots are harvested, dried, and brewed into a tea before bedtime. Its flavor is strong and earthy, and while not everyone finds it pleasant, its effects are worth it. After drinking valerian tea, the body relaxes, the mind quiets, and sleep comes naturally and deeply. The Amish value valerian root as a natural tranquilizer that helps restore both body and mind without the need for sleeping pills or synthetic remedies. 10. Elderberry, homemade syrup to prevent colds and flu. Elderberry bushes grow abundantly on Amish farms, and their dark berries are harvested at the end of summer. The Amish turn these ripe berries into a sweet syrup, a natural tonic to strengthen the immune system. The berries are simmered with pure honey and a dash of cinnamon, creating a rich, flavorful syrup. During winter, each family member takes a spoonful of elderberry syrup every day to boost immunity and guard against colds, flu, and other respiratory infections. For the Amish, elderberry syrup isn't just a tasty treat. It's their natural vaccine, helping them stay healthy through the long, cold months. 11th, slippery elm, soothing sore throats like magic. When the weather turns cold, or after a long day working outdoors, sore and scratchy throats are common. The Amish rely on slippery elm bark as a simple, effective remedy. They strip the bark from the tree, dry it, and store it for use throughout the year. When needed, they chew on a piece of the dried bark or prepare a thin porridge from it. The natural mucilage coats the throat, soothing pain and reducing inflammation almost immediately. This time-honored treatment has been passed down for generations. It's a simple yet powerful remedy, especially valuable when modern medicine isn't on hand. 12th, red clover, cleansing the blood and skin. Red clover is a wildflower that often grows in clusters across the Amish countryside. But to the Amish, it's more than just a pretty bloom. It's a valuable medicinal herb. The flowers are picked when they are fully blossomed, then dried and used to make tea. The Amish drink red clover tea regularly to cleanse the blood, support healthy liver function, and improve skin conditions like eczema, dermatitis, and acne. In addition to its detoxifying effects, red clover is also believed to improve blood circulation and help balance natural hormones in the body. 13. Dandelion, a spring tonic to refresh the body. Every spring, the fields around Amish farms glow with the bright yellow blossoms of dandelions. During this time, fresh young leaves are harvested and used in light salads or cooked in soups to cool the body. They also dry the leaves and roots to make tea, which they drink throughout the year. Dandelion is considered a powerful liver tonic, helping the body flush out toxins built up during the long winter, acting as a diuretic, and cleansing the digestive system. For the Amish, dandelion is an essential herb whenever they feel the need to renew their health and energize themselves for a new year of hard work. 14. Golden seal, a powerful natural antibiotic. Golden seal is one of the most highly regarded herbs among the Amish for its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. The roots are harvested in late fall, thoroughly cleaned, dried, and ground into a fine powder. The Amish use golden seal powder as a topical application on open wounds to prevent infection. They also brew it into a tea when dealing with symptoms of infections, ulcers, or digestive disorders. Though golden seal has a bitter taste, the Amish believe its strong natural qualities help the body fight off illness without the need for synthetic antibiotics. 15. Garlic, everyday medicine for staying healthy. Garlic is a staple in every Amish family garden. They grow it to eat raw each day, crush it into a paste to apply on inflamed wounds, or use it in homemade syrups and oils to treat colds and congestion. The Amish believe that eating a clove of raw garlic daily can prevent colds, strengthen the immune system, and keep the body in good health. Garlic is also an important ingredient in many traditional Amish dishes, not just for flavor, but also for its healing benefits. Often called the penicillin of nature, garlic is considered a daily health booster for every member of the Amish household. Conclusion: these old-fashioned remedies are simple yet remarkably effective, and they are still part of everyday life for the Amish. They not only help the Amish stay healthy, but also maintain a close connection to nature and their traditional way of life. Perhaps, in today's modern world, there's something we can learn from these humble yet powerful practices. You know, with prices climbing higher and higher these days, who doesn't want to save a little money, right? But the big question is, how do we save without feeling poor and still live a life that feels full and comfortable? Today, I'm going to share with you 10 frugal living secrets from the Amish, a community famous for their simple lifestyle and genuine happiness. And trust me, these tips are so practical, anyone can do them, even folks like you and me in our golden years. 1. Fix it, don't toss it. In Amish communities, every shirt and every pair of pants is treated like an old friend that's worth holding on to. They don't follow fashion trends or shop every season. Instead, they take pride in caring for their clothes as part of their responsibility to family and community. When a shirt gets a loose thread or a small hole, they don't throw it away. Amish women will sit at the table with a needle and thread, carefully stitching it back together. Sometimes, they'll even embroider a small pattern to cover the tear, turning that flaw into something charming. One Amish grandma once said proudly, "I wore this dress when my son was a boy. Now my grandson wears it, and it's still holding strong." Tips: instead of tossing out an old pair of jeans because of a hole in the knee, why not cut them into shorts for wearing around the house, or repurpose the fabric into a reusable shopping bag? An old t-shirt can be cut into cleaning rags for the kitchen or dust cloths for the windows. A simple needle and thread cost just a few dollars, but they can save you hundreds over time by helping you keep what you already have. 2. Creative repurposing. The Amish have an unspoken rule: nothing goes to waste. An empty jar of peach jam? Clean it out, and it becomes a storage jar for beans, flour, or even a cute vase for fresh flowers on the dinner table. An old wooden ladder? Don't throw it out. The Amish turn it into a towel rack or a place to dry herbs. A husband's old, worn-out shirt? Cut off the sleeves for an apron and use the body of the shirt as a bread bag or book cover for the kids. The Amish teach their children. Every time you find a new use for something old, you are honoring the blessings of the earth. Tips: if you've got old glass jars or plastic containers lying around, don't toss them. Clean them up, add labels, and use them to store rice, sugar, or spices in the kitchen. Plastic egg cartons can be repurposed to plant seedlings. Think morning glory, basil, or spinach. Right at home, even on your balcony. And if you've got an old wool sweater, cut it up and turn it into chair cushions, or stuff it into a cozy pillow for the living room. It's beautiful, it's practical, and it's a great way to save money while cutting down on waste. 3. Buy once, use forever. The Amish don't like wasting money on things that break after just a few uses. They're happy to spend a little more up front to buy durable, high-quality items, things that can even be passed down from generation to generation. For example, they'll invest in a heavy-duty cast-iron pot, shiny and solid. It's used to cook rice, soups, or fry eggs, and even after 20 years, it still works like new. A pair of handmade leather shoes might be expensive at first, but they get softer and more comfortable the more you wear them. Polish them once a year, and they'll look brand new. Their tables, chairs, and beds are made from sturdy hardwood, crafted by hand. Some pieces last so long, they end up being used by their grandchildren. Tips: don't hesitate to spend a bit more on a good cast iron pan or a quality kitchen knife set. Take care of them, and you won't have to replace them for years. Instead of buying cheap things that only last a few months and then having to buy them again, investing in quality actually saves money in the long run. For example, buy a solid pair of leather sandals. They may cost more at first, but they can last 3 to 5 years, way cheaper than buying plastic flip-flops that break after a few months. 4. DIY everything. The Amish are known as masters of DIY. They're not dependent on stores or supermarkets. If they need something, they make it themselves. It saves money and it's healthier too. In the morning, an Amish family enjoys fresh bread baked by hand, filling their wooden kitchen with the warm smell of home. They churn butter from the cow's milk they collected that morning, make their own cheese, and even create their own laundry soap from lye and animal fat. Amish husbands and wives build their own beds, wardrobes, and even houses. They paint their own fences. Even children's toys are handmade. Parents whittle them from wood as gifts. Tips. You don't have to be a master craftsman like them, but there are plenty of simple things you can do at home. Try baking your own bread with a basic recipe. Just flour, yeast, a pinch of salt, and a bit of sugar. It'll come out smelling amazing, with no chemicals or preservatives. Make your own natural soap with coconut oil and lemongrass essential oil. Gentle on the skin and much cheaper than buying fancy brands at the store. Sew your own tablecloths or reusable fabric shopping bags. It's environmentally friendly and saves a nice chunk of change over time. 5. Home-cooked meals. The Amish almost never eat out at restaurants or order takeout. For them, home-cooked meals aren't just about saving money, they're an essential part of family life. Their meals are simple but full of nutrition. A plate of freshly baked bread, homemade butter from the morning's milking, garden-fresh vegetables, and a warm pot of chicken soup made with free-range chickens from their backyard. No fancy ingredients, no expensive dishes, yet their meals are cozier and healthier than anything you'd find at a restaurant. What's more, they usually plan their weekly meals in advance. Monday might be rye bread with butter and honey. Tuesday is fresh egg noodles with steamed veggies. By planning ahead, they always know what's on the menu, ingredients are ready, and nothing goes to waste. Tips. Spend some time every Sunday planning your meals for the week. Stick to simple, easy-to-cook dishes with ingredients you can find nearby. For example, vegetable soup, boiled eggs, and braised fish. Try cutting back on eating out. Start by cooking at home 5 to 6 meals a week. You'll be surprised how much money you save, and your health will thank you. Most importantly, home-cooked meals bring the family together. It's a chance to sit down, talk about life, and strengthen family bonds. 6. Grow your own food. One of the most sustainable frugal living secrets of the Amish is self-sufficiency. Almost every Amish family has their own small garden and a few hens laying fresh eggs. Their gardens may be simple, but they're always lush and green, rows of carrots, bunches of onions, a few cabbages, and climbing vines full of beans. Every morning, the children help their parents weed and water the plants, while the mothers collect fresh eggs for breakfast. They don't need supermarkets, and they're not worried about chemicals or pesticides. Their vegetables are always fresh, clean, and, best of all, free. All it takes is a little time and care. Tips. If you live in the city, you can easily make use of your balcony or windowsill to grow a few pots of herbs, like basil, cilantro, or green onions. Whenever you're cooking, just reach over and pick what you need. No need to run out to the store. If you have a small yard, raising a few free-range chickens isn't too difficult. Home-raised eggs are fresher, tastier, and safer. Plus, looking after chickens can be a fun hobby, especially if you involve the grandkids. It's a great way to teach them responsibility and bring the family closer. Just invest a little in seeds and clean soil. Spend a few minutes each day tending your garden, and in a few weeks, you'll have fresh, homegrown veggies, clean, healthy, and saving you money at the market. 7. Limit transportation costs. Did you know? The Amish say no to cars. They mainly walk or ride horse-drawn buggies, not just because of their religious beliefs, but also to save money on transportation and protect the environment. In Amish communities, walking a few kilometers to visit neighbors or attend church is perfectly normal. They believe, walking lets you enjoy the scenery, have conversations along the way, and keeps you healthy. For longer distances, they ride buggies. No need for gas, no expensive maintenance, and their buggies can last a lifetime without wearing out like motorcycles or cars. Tips. If your home is less than 2 kilometers from the market or grocery store, try walking or biking instead of riding a scooter or car. It saves fuel, gives you some exercise, and lets you enjoy a slower pace, observing your neighborhood and breathing fresh air. Walking every day helps with heart health, reduces joint pain, and costs you nothing. No need for pricey supplements. For us folks over 60, daily walks are not just exercise, they're a source of joy. Invite a friend or family member to go on evening walks together. It's a great way to stay active and catch up on life at the same time. You'll feel refreshed in both body and spirit. 8. Live debt-free. In Amish life, debt is almost forbidden. They believe that simple living and being debt-free is the key to peace of mind and family harmony. The Amish don't take out bank loans to buy homes. They don't buy things on installment plans. They don't swipe credit cards for impulse purchases. Instead, they work hard, save carefully, and only buy things when they have the money in hand. This helps them avoid the cycle of borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and they never have to worry about interest rates or overdue bills. They often say, "If you have little, spend little, but sleep peacefully with a clear mind. No one's knocking on your door asking for payments, and no one's chasing you for debt." Tips. Limit your use of credit cards for unnecessary shopping. And if you do use one, make sure to pay it off in full by the end of the month. Don't fall into the trap of rolling over debt, where the interest piles up. When you want to buy something big, make it a habit to save up in advance, just like setting up a special fund. For example, put aside a few dollars each month. After a year, you'll have enough to buy what you need without borrowing a cent. Living debt-free helps you sleep better, live longer, and gives you more time to enjoy life with your family, without the stress of financial worries. 9. Family budget meetings. The Amish aren't just good at saving money on their own. They also manage their family finances as a team. For them, keeping track of income and expenses is a shared responsibility, not something left to just one person. At the end of each month, the whole family gathers around the dinner table to go over their financial records. They review how much they earned from selling farm produce and how much they spent on food, clothing, and medicine that month. Even the children are encouraged to join in from a young age. They're introduced early on to the ideas of earning, spending, and saving. This teaches Amish kids to respect money, avoid waste, and not get caught up in materialism. When the whole family works together on finances, no one feels alone in carrying the burden. Tips. Try holding a family finance meeting once a month. Write down all your income, like pensions or wages, and your expenses, such as groceries, utilities, and medical bills. This helps you see exactly where your money goes. Couples should discuss big spending decisions together, like home repairs, buying a bike for the grandkids, or planning a family trip. Being open about finances helps avoid misunderstandings and makes saving easier as a team. If you have young grandchildren, Encourage them to save their lucky money or rewards from doing well in school. Teach them to buy something meaningful with their own savings, just like Amish families teach their children to manage money early on. 10. Value people over things. For the Amish, family and community are priceless, while money and possessions are secondary. They don't chase after luxury goods or follow modern trends. Their happiness comes from life's simplest joys. Every afternoon, after finishing work in the fields, the family gathers around a wooden table. They sip tea, enjoy homemade cakes, and chat with each other. They ask about how the children are doing in school, talk about farm life, and tell simple, heartwarming stories that bring laughter. On weekends, they help their neighbors build houses or harvest crops. In return, they get warm handshakes, hearty meals, and plenty of shared laughter. What they share isn't money, but time and love, the kinds of treasures money can never buy. Tips: spend more quality time with your family instead of going out for pricey coffees or buying things you don't need. A pot of tea, a plate of homegrown fruit, and a quiet afternoon chatting with your loved ones are life's true treasures. Invite friends over to cook together or bake a batch of cookies to share. These moments of connection lift the spirit, and they don't cost much at all. Offer a helping hand to your neighbors when they need it. Whether it's advice or a small favor, giving from the heart builds a strong, caring community. Closing thoughts. And that's how the Amish live. Simple, but truly happy. Being frugal doesn't mean living in hardship. It's about appreciating what we have, living more slowly, and valuing the people around us. Try just one of these little tips, and you'll start to see your life become a little lighter and a whole lot happier. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and being here with me. 4 a.m. Outside, the quiet countryside is still shrouded in darkness. Inside a small wooden Amish house, everything remains calm, but a new day is about to begin. There's no loud alarm clock. The Amish father wakes up naturally, as he has for years. He quietly sits up on his wooden bed, listening to the stillness of the early morning. In the dim light, he reaches for the oil lamp on the shelf. The soft yellow glow gently illuminates the room, just enough to guide his steps. His wife stirs awake, offering him a gentle morning smile. They speak softly, mindful not to wake their children still fast asleep. The father dresses in simple work clothes and puts on a light jacket to ward off the early morning chill. Holding the oil lamp, he carefully opens the door and steps outside. Outside, the air is crisp and fresh. The night sky is still sprinkled with stars, and the horizon to the east is just beginning to show a faint glow, signaling the arrival of dawn. The father takes a deep breath, savoring the scent of grass damp with dew. Everything is so quiet that he can hear the sound of his own footsteps against the earth. In the distance, a few cows are already awake, softly mooing to greet their owner. He walks slowly toward the barn, ready to start his first task of the day. Inside the barn, the glow of the oil lamp reflects off the cows standing on thick straw. The father approaches his familiar dairy cow, gently patting its neck with affection. The animal stands still, her calm brown eyes watching him. The father sits down on a small wooden stool, places a metal bucket under the cow's udder, and begins to milk her. His hands move rhythmically, slow and skillful. Streams of warm, creamy milk hit the metal bucket with a gentle splashing sound. As he works, he hums a hymn softly, feeling peace as he begins his day with this familiar chore. Before long, His oldest son wakes up and joins him in the barn to help. The father continues milking the cow while the boy feeds the cows fresh hay. In a short time, the buckets are full. The fresh milk will be enough for the family's needs throughout the day. Meanwhile, back in the kitchen, the Amish mother has already started the wood-burning stove. She kneels by the hearth, adding a few small logs to keep the fire burning steadily. The flickering light warms the kitchen and softly illuminates her face. On the table, ingredients for bread are neatly arranged: fine white flour, yeast, salt, and cool well water. She begins kneading the dough, her hands expertly mixing the flour and water until they form a smooth, elastic mass. Gently she folds and presses the dough, feeling it soften and become pliable under her touch. Soon, the dough is shaped into a round ball and placed in a bowl, covered with a cloth to rest and rise. While waiting for the dough to rise, she takes a moment of quiet reflection. On a wooden shelf near the dining table sits a well-worn, leather-bound Bible. She picks it up carefully and opens to a favorite passage. The oil lamp's light flickers over the pages as she reads a few comforting verses. The simple yet profound teachings fill her heart with peace and strength, preparing her for the day ahead. She quietly offers a prayer of gratitude for the peaceful morning, then sets the Bible back in its place and heads outside to continue her chores. The sky is still dark, but the air feels fresh and cool. The mother opens the back door quietly, and her young daughter, who has just woken up, follows her outside to help. They head toward the chicken coop in the garden. The chickens are already clucking softly to greet the morning. The mother gently opens the coop door, careful not to startle the birds. Nestled in straw nests, the hens have laid fresh eggs. The little girl eagerly picks up each warm egg, placing them gently in a woven basket. Before heading back inside, they gather some fresh herbs and green onions glistening with dew. In the barn, the father and son have finished milking. They cover the milk buckets and carry them back to the house. Inside the kitchen, the mother and daughter return with their basket of eggs. They greet one another with smiles. The father carefully strains the milk through a thin cloth to remove impurities before pouring it into large clay jars, some for drinking, some for making butter or cheese, and some to share with neighbors. Then, he and his son head out to feed the horses and pigs. The kitchen fills with warmth and the rich scent of fresh bread. The dough has risen, and the mother gently punches it down to release air bubbles before shaping it into loaves. She places them into the wood-fired oven, where the coals glow bright red. As the bread bakes, she prepares breakfast for the family. Eggs are cracked into a bowl and whisked with a pinch of salt and chopped green onions. In a hot cast-iron skillet, the eggs sizzle and cook to a golden perfection. The mother also fries slices of homemade smoked bacon, filling the kitchen with a delicious aroma. Everything is made by hand, slowly but lovingly, making the simple kitchen feel rich with warmth and comfort. When breakfast is ready, the family gathers around a plain wooden table. The golden omelette, crispy bacon, freshly baked bread, and a pitcher of creamy milk are all laid out. Before eating, they hold hands and bow their heads in prayer, giving thanks for the peaceful morning and the food before them. The morning sun begins to shine through the window, casting soft, warm light on their smiling faces. They eat slowly, sharing stories of their early morning tasks. The father mentions the newborn calf, the son proudly describes the buckets of milk, and the daughter excitedly tells of the hens squabbling over feed. No one checks a clock or a phone, just the gentle, unhurried rhythm of family life. The meal is filled with quiet joy and gratitude. After breakfast, everyone helps clean up. The mother and daughter wash the dishes, carefully drying and stacking them neatly on the shelves. The father and son sweep the floor and wipe down the table. Soon, the kitchen is tidy once more. By now, the sun is fully up, shining brightly over the fields and garden. The mother opens the windows to let fresh air fill the house, while the father steps outside, scanning the farm to ensure everything is in order. In the distance, thin trails of smoke rise from neighbors' chimneys, signaling that other Amish families are also beginning their days. It is only the start of the day, but the family has already accomplished so much. From milking cows and baking bread to gathering eggs and preparing breakfast, everything has been done with care and patience. Free from modern distractions, they are fully present, immersed in their tasks and one another's company. The simplicity of their lifestyle brings a sense of peace and purpose. With the sun now shining over the fields, the Amish family steps into the day with calm hearts and open hands, ready to embrace whatever the hours ahead may bring. The Amish way of greeting the day with simplicity and purpose is echoed in many cultures worldwide. Across continents, people have crafted morning rituals that nurture health, inner peace, and community. Below are some inspiring and easy-to-adopt morning habits from different corners of the globe, each offering wisdom for a slower, healthier, and more meaningful start to the day. Japan. In Japan, mornings often begin with gentle exercise and mindful intention. A nearly century-old tradition known as radio taiso, which means radio calisthenics, involves simple stretches and movements broadcast on the radio each day. It's so gentle that even elders in their 90s, even those in wheelchairs, take part for about 5 minutes every morning. These easy exercises help wake up the body and keep joints flexible, fostering vitality. Equally important is the Japanese concept of ikigai, or reason for being, which gives many seniors a subtle sense of purpose to start their day. Whether it's tending a small garden or preparing breakfast, having something to look forward to gets them up with motivation. Many Japanese also savor a simple, nourishing breakfast, like warm miso soup and green tea, in the morning, enjoying the comfort it brings. By combining gentle movement with mindful nourishment and purpose, Japanese mornings set a tone of health and meaning for the rest of the day. Scandinavia. In the Nordic countries, a slow and cozy morning is viewed as the antidote to daily stress. Embracing the Danish notion of hygge, or coziness, people might light a candle at breakfast and wrap themselves in a warm robe, creating a comforting atmosphere even on dark winter mornings. Rather than rushing out the door, they'll linger over a cup of coffee or tea in a favorite mug, often avoiding phones or news for the first hour to maintain a peaceful mind. In Sweden, there's even a tradition called gokotta, which means waking at dawn to go listen to the birds sing and appreciate nature's quiet beauty. One can simply step outside or sit by an open window to breathe in fresh morning air and tune in to the birds' chorus, practicing this early morning nature therapy. Scandinavians also believe in starting the day with a hearty breakfast together. It's common for family members to gather around the table, sometimes with soft candlelight, to share a morning meal of whole grain porridge, berries, or fresh bread. This cozy, unrushed routine nourishes both body and soul, proving that a calm morning spent in comfort and a touch of nature can brighten one's whole day. India. For many in India, the early morning, or Brahma Muhurta, the pre-dawn hour, is a sacred time for self-care and reflection. It often starts with the gentle aroma of masala chai, or spiced tea, wafting through the home at dawn, a comforting invitation to awaken slowly. As the sun rises, elders may engage in yoga or simple stretches to limber up their bodies and practice mindfulness through movement. Even a short session of gentle yoga or breathing exercises can help improve flexibility and center the mind. Equally common is morning meditation or prayer. Sitting quietly to recite mantras, practice deep breathing, or offer prayers at a home altar for a few minutes brings a sense of inner peace and spiritual grounding. These rituals are not about strenuous activity, but about connecting with oneself and the divine at the start of the day. Afterward, Indians often enjoy a light, nourishing breakfast, maybe warm idli or porridge, often together with family. This blend of spiritual calm, gentle movement, and family connection at dawn creates a mood of tranquility and well-being that carries through the day. Embracing a world of good mornings. From the gentle stretches of Japan to the cozy breakfasts of Scandinavia, from India's meditative dawn to Ethiopia's communal coffee, and the Amish's peaceful, purposeful mornings, all share a common thread: presence and calm. The Amish start their day without technology, focusing on simple tasks like milking cows, baking bread, and gathering eggs, all done with care and gratitude. Meals are shared around a table with a quiet prayer, setting a peaceful tone for the day. These global habits show that mornings aren't just about getting up. It's about how we get up. Whether through stretching, meditation, slow breakfasts, or purposeful chores, adopting even one of these practices can bring calm, health, and gratitude to your day. In Amish culinary culture, one-pot meals are especially popular. Large Amish families rely on hearty, nutritious meals that save both time and effort, making one-pot cooking a beloved tradition. Here are 10 delicious and convenient Amish one-pot meals, guaranteed to bring warmth and comfort to your family dinners. 1. Potato and sausage foil packets. Imagine carefully unwrapping a hot foil packet fresh from the oven, releasing the irresistible aroma of smoked sausage blending perfectly with tender potatoes, carrots, onions, bell peppers, and celery, all seasoned with garlic, salt, pepper, and your favorite herbs. If you've never made a foil package before, this kielbasa and potato recipe is a perfect place to start. Begin by slicing the smoked sausage into bite-sized pieces and cutting the vegetables into uniform chunks for even cooking. Toss them in olive oil, generously sprinkle with seasoning, and distribute evenly onto squares of heavy-duty aluminum foil. Carefully fold the edges of each packet to seal tightly, ensuring steam stays inside to tenderize the ingredients. Bake in a preheated oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 30 to 40 minutes, or until the vegetables are fork tender and sausage is perfectly heated through. Finally, open the packets briefly to sprinkle a generous layer of shredded cheddar or mozzarella cheese on top. Reseal lightly and allow the cheese to melt into gooey deliciousness for another 3 to 5 minutes. Each flavorful packet is a convenient, satisfying meal that will delight the whole family. Any waxy potato will work. Cutting potatoes big enough for a fork, but not so big that they take forever to cook. Let's use a coarsely chopped yellow onion. Try to keep the layers together, and really thin slivers tend to get a little extra crispy. Garlic powder and paprika is a power duo that is too good to omit. 2. Hamburger potato casserole. This hearty casserole deliciously layers ground beef, potatoes, and vegetables into a wholesome, rustic meal that is both comforting and simple to prepare. Begin by thinly slicing fresh potatoes and layering them at the bottom of a greased casserole dish. Add thinly sliced carrots and onions on top of the potato layer. Season each vegetable layer lightly with salt, pepper, and a dash of garlic powder. Next, shape seasoned ground beef into evenly sized patties and arrange them neatly over the vegetable layers. Dot the entire casserole generously with butter to enhance the richness and flavor. Pour just enough water or beef broth around the edges to help steam the vegetables and prevent drying during baking. Cover the dish tightly with aluminum foil and bake in a preheated oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes. Remove the foil in the last 10 minutes of baking to allow the beef to brown slightly and the vegetables to develop a delicious golden edge. The potatoes soak up savory juices, and the beef remains tender and flavorful, creating a satisfying dish the whole family will love. Russet potatoes are the one to choose for casseroles. They are a high-starch potato, which means it will keep its shape when cooked. Some call them Idaho potatoes. Yukon Gold potatoes are a medium-starch potato and will get soft and creamy when baked, whether in creamy mashed potatoes or scalloped potatoes. They can be used interchangeably with russets, but the texture of your casserole will be different. You can freeze it either before or after baking. Just make sure it's well wrapped, and the casserole will stay good for 2 to 3 months. To thaw, allow it to sit in the refrigerator overnight, and then place it in the oven to either bake completely or reheat. 3. Cheesy ground beef and vegetable casserole. This savory casserole effortlessly combines seasoned ground beef, tender potatoes, and mixed vegetables enveloped in creamy, comforting flavors. Start by browning ground beef with chopped onions until cooked through and aromatic. Drain any excess fat. Next, layer partially cooked sliced potatoes into a greased casserole dish, followed by canned mixed vegetables such as peas, corn, and diced carrots. Spread the cooked beef evenly on top. Then cover everything generously with cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup, ensuring it seeps through the layers. Sprinkle shredded cheddar cheese lavishly over the casserole. Bake at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, covered for 30 minutes. Then uncover and bake an additional 10 minutes until the cheese melts beautifully into a golden crust, perfectly blending with the creamy, savory layers below. We recommend freshly grated cheddar because it's more flavorful. However, you can use pre-shredded if you wish, which will save you a little time. If you use fatty ground beef, the meat will shrink a lot, and there will be a lot of grease. That's why we highly recommend lean ground beef. We suggest using a green bell pepper for this recipe, but you can use a red or yellow bell pepper in casseroles, like this one. 4. Ground beef with potatoes and cabbage skillet. In this hearty skillet meal, tender ground beef, potatoes, and shredded cabbage come together for a delicious and economical dinner. Begin by sautéing ground beef with diced onions and a bit of garlic until browned. Add thinly sliced potatoes, shredded cabbage, diced celery, and season well with salt, pepper, and your preferred herbs. Pour in a small amount of water or broth, then cover and simmer gently for around 20 to 25 minutes, stirring occasionally. The potatoes become perfectly tender, absorbing the delicious juices from the beef, while the cabbage and celery soften beautifully, creating a rustic, satisfying dish brimming with comforting, home-cooked flavor. Ground chicken or turkey work just as well, or you can try adding bite-sized pieces of chicken thighs or breasts. And finely chopped tofu or tempeh crumbles are great alternatives. 5. Chicken and bread dressing casserole. This beloved Amish casserole evokes the comforting flavors of Thanksgiving in a simple one-dish meal. Start by cubing stale or toasted bread into small pieces and combining it in a large bowl with shredded cooked chicken, sautéed onions, and celery. Add slices of boiled eggs for extra richness. Gradually moisten the mixture with flavorful chicken broth, ensuring it's moist but not overly soggy. Transfer the mixture to a buttered casserole dish, gently pressing it down to ensure even cooking. Bake uncovered at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 40 minutes, or until the top turns beautifully golden brown and crispy. The delicious aroma will fill your kitchen as the bread soaks up savory chicken broth, perfectly complemented by tender chicken and vegetables, creating a warm, comforting dish perfect for family gatherings. If you're out of celery or simply not a fan, feel free to skip it. Instead of sour cream, try using cream cheese for a rich, creamy texture. To infuse more flavor, crock-pot your chicken with a herb and garlic marinade and an Italian dressing packet. This way, you can skip the poultry seasoning altogether and still get that delicious, savory depth. 6. Poor Man's Skillet. The Poor Man's Skillet lives up to its humble name, offering simple, low-cost ingredients without sacrificing flavor. Just grab some potatoes, onions, and ground beef, or any meat you have handy. Even canned meat works fine. Toss them into a skillet and sauté with basic seasonings and a bit of oil. First, briefly sauté potatoes until partially cooked. Then add onions and ground beef, cooking together until tender and fully cooked. The rustic aroma of fried potatoes combined with sautéed meat makes this simple dish a comforting, filling dinner without breaking the bank or requiring much effort. If you want to add about 1/4 cup of water to help the potatoes soften, you can. 7. One-pot spaghetti. If you're used to cooking spaghetti and sauce separately, this Amish-style spaghetti will surprise you. Everything cooks together in one pot: spaghetti noodles, ground beef, onions, garlic, and tomato sauce. Begin by sautéing onions and garlic with beef in a deep skillet, then pour in tomato sauce and water. Once bubbling gently, add dry spaghetti directly into the sauce, cover, and let it cook until noodles are perfectly tender and infused with flavorful tomato and beef juices. Finish with shredded cheese sprinkled on top to melt without needing an oven. The result is a deliciously rich and easy spaghetti dish perfect for busy weeknights. Try corn, chickpea, or buckwheat spaghetti. They are gluten-free and all have incredible individual flavors and make a welcome change if pasta is a staple in your house. The key to this recipe is to measure your water carefully and to use the right pan. You need a large, shallow sauté pan or casserole large enough to fit the pasta lying down. A large, deep frying pan would work well too. 8. Beef, cabbage, and tomato stew. This simple yet enticing beef stew blends hearty ground beef with the sweet freshness of cabbage and tomatoes. Sauté ground beef lightly with onions and garlic, then mix in canned diced tomatoes with their juice. Add thinly sliced cabbage to the skillet, cover, and simmer gently. After about 20 minutes, the cabbage turns tender, absorbing all the rich flavors of beef and tomato, creating a thick stew. Serve over rice or noodles, or enjoy straight from a bowl as a satisfying ragu. This dish is economical, comforting, and tastes even better after resting overnight. For the most tender and flavorful stew, I like to use ribeye steak or Scotch fillet. They stay tender even with quick cooking, so you don't have to boil them for hours. While these cuts are pricier, the rich flavor and tender texture are worth it, and there's minimal fat floating on top of the soup. To save money or cut calories, you can easily swap the beef for chicken, turkey, or fish. For a budget-friendly vegetarian version, try using chickpeas, black beans, or tofu instead. And here's a bonus. No added salt is needed. The natural flavors do all the work. Perfect for a hearty, comforting meal without breaking the bank. 9. One-pot chicken vegetable soup. This rustic chicken vegetable soup brings back memories of Grandma's comforting homemade soups. Using just one large pot, combine chicken broth, quartered potatoes, skin on, carrots, celery, and sliced onions. Boil for about 10 minutes until vegetables soften slightly, then add your favorite pasta, like macaroni or spiral pasta. Continue cooking a few more minutes until pasta is tender. Finally, add shredded cooked chicken, simmer until heated through, and enjoy the soothing aroma of hearty broth mixed with tender vegetables and pasta. Simple yet flavorful, this soup warms and comforts everyone who tastes it. 10th. Amish beef and egg noodle stew. The list wouldn't be complete without the renowned beef and egg noodle stew. Beef simmers slowly with onions and simple seasonings until falling apart tender. The stew thickens naturally into a luscious sauce. Add dry egg noodles directly into the beef broth to cook until perfectly al dente, absorbing all the savory goodness. In one pot, you get both tender beef and chewy egg noodles, creating an irresistibly comforting meal. With minimal seasoning, just salt and pepper, highlighting the natural flavors of beef and noodles, this stew is nourishing, satisfying, and feels like a warm hug from the inside. Conclusion. These 10 dishes showcase the simplicity and convenience of Amish one-pot cooking without compromising deliciousness and nutrition. Hopefully, you've felt inspired by these cozy Amish recipes and are excited to create comforting, flavorful meals for your family. Step into your kitchen, adapt these dishes to your tastes, and bring even more warmth and variety to your dinner table. In a quiet Pennsylvania farmstead, a horse-drawn buggy creaks along a dirt road at dawn. At the reins is Amos, a bearded Amish farmer in a straw hat and suspenders, starting his day like any other. He has never heard the term bug-out bag, yet Amos might be more prepared for disaster than the most tech-savvy modern prepper. This documentary-style journey explores how the Amish approach to off-grid survival and everyday readiness offers practical wisdom for anyone packing their own emergency kit. Amish values and off-grid survival. Amish communities live by values of simplicity, self-reliance, and faith. Electricity, smartphones, and modern luxuries are absent from their daily lives by choice. Instead, Amish families like Amos's rely on kerosene lamps for light, wood stoves for heat, and horse-powered travel. What does this mean for survival situations? It means the Amish are already living in a way that many preppers only simulate during emergencies. Their entire lifestyle is essentially off-grid, honing skills and resilience that shine during catastrophes. Living off the land is second nature to the Amish. They grow and preserve their own food, build and repair their homes themselves, and have tight-knit communities to rely on. These traditions double as survival skills. For instance, Amish farmers keep cellars stocked with canned vegetables, smoked meats, and homemade preserves, often a year's worth of food. They draw water from wells with hand pumps. When the power goes out in the wider world, the Amish often carry on with barely a hiccup. In short, Amish culture has fostered a state of preparedness long before prepping became trendy. There's also a mindset of calm practicality grounded in faith. Rather than panic, Amish trust in God and in their community when adversity strikes. Everyone pitches in. If a barn burns down in a lightning storm, neighbors gather the next day to rebuild it from scratch, ensuring no one faces a crisis alone. It's a stark contrast to the lone wolf survivalist mentality. The Amish show that survival isn't just about stockpiling gadgets, it's about skilled simplicity, cooperation, and clear-headed endurance. What's in an Amish bug-out bag? So, what would an Amish bug-out bag actually contain? Truth be told, the Amish don't typically assemble bug-out bags in the same way survivalists do, and you won't find Amos obsessing over the latest tactical backpack. But if circumstances forced an Amish family to evacuate quickly, say a flood or other disaster, they'd throw together a bundle of essentials rooted in their simple life. Picture a sturdy burlap sack, or an old-fashioned carpet bag rather than a military-grade rucksack. Inside, you'd likely find water and food. An Amish family would pack plenty of water and hearty food. Amos might grab a gallon jug of well water or a trusty canteen, along with homemade dried beef jerky, hard cheese that keeps without refrigeration, and a jar of pickled vegetables or applesauce. These homegrown foods provide energy and comfort. No high-tech MREs required. Light and fire. Instead of LED flashlights and solar chargers, an Amish family grabs a couple of kerosene oil lamps or lanterns and a tin of matches. A durable oil lamp kept filled with fuel can light the night for hours. For backup, a few thick candles might get tossed in too. With caution, they're careful about fire. This low-tech lighting works whether or not the grid is up, and it's something they use nightly anyway. Tools and fix-it gear. Amish are masters of fixing and making do. Amos's bag would include a good knife, the same trusty blade he uses daily to cut twine and open feed sacks, and maybe a simple hand axe for cutting wood. He might pack a coil of rope or twine, invaluable for bundling belongings, tying up a shelter, or fashioning a clothes line. Need to mend a torn apron or harness on the road. There's a basic sewing kit with a heavy-duty needle, thread, and patches. Clothing and warmth. Practical clothing is a must. They'd bundle a spare set of the family's plain clothes, extra socks, and maybe an old blanket or handmade quilt for warmth. Amish quilts, famous for their craftsmanship, aren't just heirlooms. One heavy quilt can keep a whole family warm on a cold night. Unlike a synthetic sleeping bag, a quilt can double as a cloak, bedding, or even a curtain for privacy if needed. First aid and remedies. You won't find cutting-edge medical gear here, but you will find a tin of salve and some trusted folk remedies. Many Amish families keep natural balms for burns or cuts made from beeswax and herbs. They'll include basic first aid items too. Bandages, a bottle of iodine or alcohol for disinfecting, and perhaps some aspirin or other pain reliever. For aches and illnesses, a small bottle of peppermint oil for headaches or an arnica tincture for bruises might also be tucked in. Important papers and comforts. The Amish don't have digital backups, so important documents, like IDs or insurance papers, and a bit of emergency cash might get quietly added to the sack. While they live simply, Amish do use money for supplies when needed. So Amos might include a small envelope of dollars, not credit cards, to buy feed or lamp oil if stranded away from home. And knowing Amos, he'd slip in the family's well-worn Bible for spiritual comfort, because in any dire situation, Scripture is as essential to him as food and water. This assortment might seem quaint to modern preppers, but it covers the basics: food, water, warmth, light, tools, and first aid. Everything is low-tech, time-tested, and multi-purpose. Not a single item relies on batteries or the internet. In Amish eyes, if you can't use something in everyday life, it doesn't belong in an emergency bag either. Their kit is simply an extension of their normal way of living, and that may be its greatest strength. A buggy and a burlap sack. An Amish bug-out story. On a late spring evening, dark clouds gather over Amos's homestead. The weather radio warnings that send English, non-Amish neighbors scrambling to evacuate won't reach Amos directly. He has no radio crackling in the living room. Instead, word comes by a more old-fashioned method. A young neighbor gallops over on horseback to warn that the river is rising fast from the sudden storm. Floodwaters may hit the low-lying farms by midnight. Amos doesn't waste a second. By lantern light, he and his wife Ruth calmly pack the essentials into 2 thick burlap sacks. Their children, well practiced at chores, efficiently gather up what Pa says to fetch: jugs of water, loaves of bread, cured meat from the pantry, the family Bible, quilts, and the oil lamps. 7-year-old Mary adds the jar of pickled beets she helped can last fall. 10-year-old Jacob carefully wraps the glass kerosene lamp chimney in a towel. There is no panic, just purposeful action honed by the family's daily self-reliance. Within minutes, Amos is hitching their horse Daisy to the buggy. Lightning flickers as he secures the burlap sacks in the wagon. The scene could be from a century ago. An Amish family, belongings bundled in cloth and burlap, children holding lanterns that cast a warm glow on their determined faces. Yet their preparedness proves effective. As rain starts pelting down, Amos snaps the reins and the buggy rolls out, carrying his family to higher ground at a cousin's farm up the hill. They arrive safely and regroup with other Amish families who also heeded the warning, each arriving by buggy with their own hastily packed sacks. In the big barn of the cousin's farm, the community comes together. Lanterns are hung from rafters, turning the wooden structure into an impromptu shelter. Children nibble on homemade cheese and bread that someone remembered to bring. The men ensure the horses are dried off and calm, and the women lay out quilts in a corner for the little ones to rest. By the gentle light of an oil lamp, Amos leads a soft prayer from his weather-worn Bible, thanking God for their safe passage through the storm. It's a bug-out by any definition, an evacuation in the face of danger, but done the Amish way. No one fumbles with high-tech gadgets or checks a phone for the latest news. They simply rely on common sense and each other. Even though Amos only learned the full extent of the flood's damage from a neighbor's newspaper the next day, the Amish bug-out was clearly a success. Everyone was safe, no one went hungry or cold, and come morning they returned home filled with gratitude. The story of Amos's family shows how even without modern gear, preparedness and quick action saved the day. A buggy and a couple of burlap sacks were enough to bring the family to safety, with a little help from Daisy the horse and a lot of help from a community that looks out for one another. Modern versus Amish, tech-heavy versus practical and wise. Modern preppers often lean on technology and heaps of gear, whereas Amish readiness is all about practical tools and time-honored wisdom. Consider a few differences. Gear and gadgets. A typical survivalist's bug-out bag might overflow with electronics: a GPS unit, 2-way radios, a satellite phone, portable solar panels, and battery packs, not to mention water purifiers and freeze-dried meals. In contrast, Amos's approach is completely low-tech. His navigation aid is a paper map, or more likely just his knowledge of local terrain, and communication means sending a message through a neighbor or simply knowing where the community will gather. High-tech devices can save time and effort, yes, but Amish gear never runs out of batteries or needs a software update. Reliability is born from simplicity. Weight and mobility. Modern bug-out bags can turn into heavy monsters, often 50 or 60 pounds of gear. The Amish, by necessity and habit, pack much lighter, including only what's truly useful. You won't catch Amos carrying a gadget he's never tested in daily life, just in case. The result is a manageable load that Daisy the horse or the family on foot can carry for miles without exhaustion. A lighter load means quicker movement and less fatigue, a clear advantage in any evacuation. Skills versus supplies. Modern prepping culture often emphasizes having the right supplies, whereas Amish culture emphasizes knowing how to survive. Amos doesn't own a fancy water filtration straw, but he knows he can boil water or find a clean spring. He doesn't stock energy bars, but his wife Ruth knows how to bake hearty bread from scratch. This kind of knowledge is like an invisible tool in the Amish toolkit, weightless, yet invaluable. A prepper might have a ferrocerium rod for making fire, but if they've never started a campfire without matches, they could be in trouble. Meanwhile, even an Amish child like Jacob has lit wood stove and campfires just from helping around the farm. In survival situations, skills and practice can trump gadgets. Mindset and community. Perhaps the biggest difference is mindset. Many modern preppers picture themselves as lone wolves or small families, ready to hunker down solo or distrustful of outsiders when things go wrong. The Amish mindset is the opposite. Community first. They assume they will band together and share resources, just as they do in everyday life. This means an Amish evacuation is more of a group effort than an every person for themselves race. The peace of mind that comes from knowing your neighbors have your back is something no amount of gear can replace. Moreover, the Amish have a faith-driven calm about disasters, a belief that they will persevere as God wills. That perspective can be a psychological superpower in a crisis. A tech-equipped prepper might still panic when isolated and overwhelmed, whereas an Amish family draws strength from each other and their faith. Both modern and Amish approaches to survival have their merits. Technology and advanced gear can undoubtedly improve comfort and odds in some situations. For instance, a weather radio or cell phone could provide life-saving information that Amish might lack. Yet the Amish experience teaches that wisdom, practical know-how, and community can carry you through dire times, even when gadgets fail. The ideal prepper might be one who carries a smartphone in one hand and a hand-drawn map in the other, who stores a solar battery but also knows how to start a fire with flint, and who remembers that even in a crisis, none of us survives alone. Conclusion. Ultimately, the Amish bug-out bag, figurative as it may be, teaches us that resilience isn't about hoarding the fanciest gear. It's about living in tune with our most essential needs and skills. In our fast-paced, gadget-filled world, there's something comforting about the Amish approach to preparedness. It reminds us that human ingenuity and cooperation have seen people through disasters long before smartphones and GPS. So next time you update your own bug-out bag, consider tossing in a lesson from the Amish. Pack a little simpler, plan with your neighbors, and maybe include a good old-fashioned map and a candle. After all, whether your plan is high-tech or humble, the best bug-out bag is the one you have ready when you need it. And if it comes with a side of Amish wisdom, all the better. Before refrigerators hummed in every kitchen, families kept food fresh with clever, natural methods. One of the best was the root cellar, a cool underground pantry that our ancestors relied on. If you're picturing a dim, chilly room filled with potatoes, carrots, and maybe a cobweb or two, you're on the right track. In Amish country, this old-fashioned method is still going strong. The Amish, known for simple living without modern gadgets, use root cellars to keep their produce crisp and their pie apples fresh all year long. So let's take an easygoing journey into the world of Amish root cellars. We'll explore what they are, what goodies you can stash in them, how the Amish make it work, and how these old ways stack up against our new ways. By the end, you might be inspired to try a little root cellaring yourself. What is a root cellar? Simply put, a root cellar is nature's refrigerator. It's an underground room that uses the Earth's steady, cool temperature to preserve food. Long before electric fridges, folks would dig out a space in a hillside or under a house to stash their harvest. Inside, it stays cool in summer and just above freezing in winter, shielding stored food from extreme heat or cold. A bit of humidity in the air helps keep produce from drying out, too. Think of it as an earth-cooled pantry. Thick walls of dirt or stone insulate the space, and a sturdy door keeps the chill inside. No matter the weather outside, the root cellar provides a constant, gentle chill. It's a low-tech, no-power way to keep food fresh, using nothing more than good old Mother Earth. Foods that store well. Not every food likes a chilly, damp hiding spot, but many hearty staples thrive in a root cellar. The stars of the show are usually the ones that grow underground to begin with. Root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beets, and turnips are all great candidates. Tucked into crates or bins, often layered with sand or sawdust for moisture, these veggies can stay firm and tasty for months. Hardy fruits do well, too. Apples and pears, especially firm tart varieties, have long been cellar favorites. People often wrap each in paper or nest them in straw to prevent bruising. A good stash of apples in the cellar can provide fresh fruit well into winter, perfect for an apple pie when snow is on the ground. Just remember one handy tip. Keep apples away from potatoes. Apples give off a natural gas as they ripen that can make potatoes sprout, so it's best to store them apart. What else can you keep in a root cellar? Cabbages can join the party if handled right. Some folks hang them or pack them in moist sand to extend freshness. Pumpkins and winter squash also store for a while in a cool spot, though they prefer things a bit drier, so often they sit on a shelf or rack rather than a damp floor. And while onions and garlic appreciate the cool air, they don't love the cellar's humidity. Many people cure them and hang them in a dry place just outside the cellar. A root cellar often doubles as a natural pantry, too. You might find jars of pickles, jams, and home-canned vegetables lining the shelves, all benefiting from the cool, dark environment. In short, any food that likes it cold, but not frozen, and a bit humid, will feel right at home in a root cellar. How the Amish do it. How do the Amish make the most of these underground fridges? In Amish communities, a root cellar is practically a must-have in every farmhouse. Often built under the kitchen or nearby, it's easy to reach even when winter winds are howling. After the autumn harvest, an Amish family's root cellar is a sight to behold. Shelves are filled with gleaming jars from summer canning. Tomato sauces, fruits, pickles, you name it. Bins brim with potatoes, carrots, and beets from their fields, all sorted and ready to feed the family through the winter. The air is cool and earthy, and everything is neatly in its place. Because the Amish live without modern refrigerators, they've truly mastered these old-school techniques. They know exactly how to store each item. Potatoes stay in the dark under burlap or blankets to prevent greening and sprouting. Apples get their own space, often on a separate shelf or in their own little nook, so they won't trouble the potatoes. Onions and garlic are dried and braided, then hung up in a shed or attic, keeping them out of the dampness that could cause mold. And that bumper crop of cabbage from the garden? Rather than risking whole heads going bad, a lot of it becomes sauerkraut fermenting in crocks or jars, safe to eat and long-lasting. This know-how is passed down through generations. Even the youngsters learn how to spot a soft apple or a sprouting potato. A well-stocked root cellar by midwinter is a point of pride for an Amish family, proof that their hard work in the fields will pay off until spring. In Amish country, the root cellar isn't just a storage room, it's a cornerstone of their self-sufficient way of life. Old ways versus new ways. Now, contrast these old-fashioned practices with how most of us handle food today. Back then, nearly every rural home had a root cellar, and people knew how to store food through the seasons. You ate what was in your cellar, and come spring you planted anew. Today, we have refrigerators, freezers, and grocery stores stocked with produce year-round. It's wonderfully convenient. We can have strawberries in December, but it all relies on electricity and long supply chains. The Amish stick to the old ways out of tradition and practicality. Interestingly, many modern folks are coming back around to those ways too. Homesteaders and gardeners are building root cellars or using cool basement corners to keep their homegrown produce fresh. Why? Because these old methods still work. They save energy, they keep food safe even when the power goes out, and they often preserve flavor and nutrients better for certain foods. There's a peace of mind in the old way as well. Knowing you have a supply of food that isn't dependent on the grid is comforting. Of course, most of us won't give up our refrigerators, but we can certainly appreciate the wisdom behind a root cellar. In fact, some people use both. They enjoy the fridge for daily needs, while letting Mother Nature help store the overflow of potatoes, carrots, and apples. In this way, the old and new can complement each other, giving us the best of both worlds. Try this at home. You don't need a farm to dabble in root cellaring. Here are a few ways to get a taste of this practice. Cool basement corner. If you have a basement, turn the coldest, darkest corner into a mini root cellar. Put hardy veggies like potatoes and carrots in a crate or box and cover them with sand or sawdust. Keep them away from any heat sources. You'll be surprised how long produce can last in a chilly spot. Bury a container. No basement? Take a sturdy bin, or even an old chest freezer, and bury it in your yard, leaving the lid accessible. You've just created an underground storage box. Load it with your vegetables or apples, then cover the lid with straw or leaves for extra insulation. Come midwinter, you can pop it open and retrieve your homegrown treasures. Garage or shed. In cold climates, an unheated garage or shed can act as a temporary root cellar. Pack your produce in a box filled with straw, newspaper, or sawdust for insulation, and tuck it in a cold corner. Just make sure it stays chilly but doesn't quite freeze solid. Keep an eye on it. Whatever method you try, check your stash occasionally. One bad potato can spoil the bunch. If you find a mushy apple or a sprouting onion, take it out. A little vigilance will ensure your stored food stays in good shape. Trying out a small root cellar setup can be fun and rewarding. You might even get a kick out of serving home-stored veggies for dinner in the middle of winter, knowing you preserved them yourself. Closing thoughts. Our journey into the root cellar shows that some old-fashioned ideas still hold up today. The Amish remind us that often the smartest way forward is to look back to what already works. There's a comfort in knowing food can be kept safe and sound by simple means, without a plug or a password. In today's high-tech world, the humble root cellar stands quiet and steady. It connects us to generations past who relied on wisdom and work instead of electricity to get through winter. That connection is something special. So here's to the root cellar. May this age-old practice continue to inspire us, even if you only stash a few potatoes in a cooler or enjoy seeing an old cellar on a farm visit. You're helping keep the tradition alive. And perhaps one day, you'll bite into a sweet, home-stored apple in midwinter and smile, knowing it was preserved the old-fashioned way. That's living history, and it sure tastes good. Welcome to a world where TikTok sounds like something you hear when your watch is broken, Netflix sounds like a new way to catch fish, and video games, well, those are just fancy names for chores. Yep, we're talking about the Amish, a community that's been raising kids the same way for generations, without TV, phones, or video games. Sounds impossible, right? Well, pull up a chair because we're about to find out how they do it. 1. Childhood without screens. Growing up Amish means you've got two things: freedom and responsibility, but not the free to stay up all night playing Fortnite kind of freedom. This is about running barefoot through fields, climbing trees, and playing with homemade toys that might look like antiques, but hold the magic of pure imagination. Amish kids learn early that fun doesn't come pre-packaged. While most American children might have their eyes glued to screens, Amish kids have theirs glued to nature. They spend their days building forts out of sticks, skipping stones across ponds, and racing each other down dirt paths. When winter rolls around, sledding down a hill on a homemade wooden sled is a thrill no video game can replicate. Toys? Sure, there are toys, but they're often hand-carved by parents or older siblings. Dolls made from scraps of fabric, wooden trucks with wheels that wobble, and simple board games with pieces carved from leftover wood. There's something charmingly imperfect about them. It's like having a toy that comes with its own story: how it was made, who made it, and why a little nick in the wood makes it even better. It's not all rough and tumble, though. Storytelling is huge. On rainy days, kids gather around elders to hear tales from generations past, adventures of their own ancestors, legends that teach moral lessons, and funny little anecdotes that make the kids giggle and the adults shake their heads with a knowing smile. For Amish children, the world isn't a series of apps to be scrolled through. It's a wide-open playground waiting to be explored, touched, and experienced. 2 early responsibilities and work ethic. Work starts young, real young, like learning to milk a cow before you can spell cow, young. But it's not some strict boot camp. It's family life. Chores are part of the daily rhythm: collecting eggs, feeding animals, helping with laundry. Sure, it sounds like work, but to the kids, it's just life. And somehow, they make it fun. Children in Amish families aren't handed responsibilities as a punishment or a rite of passage. It's a natural part of growing up. By the time a child is 5 or 6, they're already expected to help out with small tasks. Maybe it's gathering eggs from the chicken coop or fetching firewood for the stove. The tasks grow with them, gradually and naturally. By the age of 10, many Amish kids can handle chores that would make most adults sweat: milking cows, herding sheep, plowing small garden plots. And as they get older, the responsibilities only increase. Boys learn woodworking, plowing, and maintenance. Girls learn sewing, cooking, canning, and gardening. The funny thing is, they often do it with a smile, a joke, or even a song. It's not about being strict or harsh. It's about being needed. Contributing to the family's well-being isn't something to dread. It's something to be proud of. And when you see a 10-year-old kid lugging a bucket of milk twice their size, grinning ear to ear, you start to realize why this approach works. 3. Education and learning through doing. Forget Wikipedia. Learning here is hands-on. Reading and writing? Sure, they do that in school. But math? That's counting eggs or measuring flour for bread. Science? Watching how crops grow or learning to ride a horse without ending up in the dirt. And history? Well, that's mostly told by Grandma around the kitchen table. Amish kids attend school only until 8th grade. And it's not the flashy, high-tech kind of schooling most of us are used to. Desks are wooden, chalkboards are still a thing, and there's no such thing as a smart classroom. But the kids learn plenty. They learn reading, writing, arithmetic, and essential skills that fit their way of life. What makes Amish education different is how much emphasis is placed on practical skills. By the time a child finishes school, they've already learned how to plant crops, build furniture, cook meals from scratch, sew their own clothes, and even repair things when they break. They don't learn it from textbooks alone. They learn it by doing over and over until it becomes second nature. It's education without the stress of standardized tests or college admissions. It's learning for the sake of learning. And if you ask an Amish teenager how to fix a broken plow, they'll probably do it in the time it takes most people to Google the answer. 4. Social life and play. No Snapchat? No problem. Amish kids grow up surrounded by family, friends, and a whole lot of fresh air. Their social network is their community, and every gathering is like a mini festival. Barn raisings, picnics, church gatherings, and old-fashioned games like tag, baseball, or the occasional wrestling match in a pile of hay. The Amish don't need an app to tell them where their friends are. They know. They see each other daily, whether it's working together, going to school, or just hanging out in the fields. And when the community gathers for events, the kids are right there in the middle of it all. It's not that Amish kids never have conflict or disagreements. They do, but they learn to resolve them face to face, without hiding behind a screen or firing off messages with their thumbs. It's real social interaction, the kind that builds character, empathy, and resilience. Games are mostly physical: tag, hide and seek, jumping rope. And if they can involve a horse or a haystack, even better. They don't need graphics or special effects, just laughter, sweat, and a whole lot of imagination. 5. Why it works. The Amish approach works because it's built on timeless principles: hard work, faith, community, responsibility, and connection. Kids are given the freedom to explore and the structure to thrive. They're not shielded from the world, they're prepared for it, mentally, emotionally, and physically. The truth is, the Amish way of raising children may seem old-fashioned to outsiders, but its effectiveness lies in its simplicity. Without the clutter of technology and distractions, children have room to grow into themselves. They develop resilience, compassion, and a deep-rooted sense of who they are and where they come from. The real question isn't why Amish families raise kids without TV, phones, or video games. It's how they manage to raise such strong, capable, and well-adjusted children without them. Maybe it's something we could all learn from. Conclusion. So, how do Amish families raise kids without TV, phones, or video games? By giving them something better: connection, purpose, and the freedom to create their own fun. And who knows? Maybe the real secret to a happy childhood isn't in a screen, but in a haystack. Would you trade Wi-Fi for a day of climbing trees and chasing chickens? Let me know in the comments below.